What's going on, guys? My name is Ankush and I am a top rated AI engineer on Upwork. On this channel, I teach how non-technical people can use generative AI in their own day-to-day life without writing any code. And in today's video, I'm starting a new series on this incredible tool called make.com, which lets you build automations without having to write any code. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm on this website called make.com, and as you can see over here, we are going to build these flows. It looks so intuitive as you can see, and it will let you build all kinds of automations. And as here you see, it has integrations with all the platforms that you can think of, from WhatsApp, Instagram, email, Google Sheets, Telegram, LinkedIn, whatever that you can think of. You can build automations from one platform to another, to 3 of them on combination, whatever that you can think of, you can build using this, and that too with a free plan, as you will see over here. So I'm going to create a new scenario on the make.com. So what is a scenario? Scenario is basically a automation that you build for a particular task. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new scenario. So if you have not already signed up, then you have to sign up, and then when you go to the scenarios, you will reach on this page, and now I'm creating a new scenario. Okay, so here we are in the new scenario page, and what are we going to build today? So I have a very interesting problem statement. So what I want is that, okay, I like pets, I like pet owners, I want to solve their problems. So what I'm going to do now is that I need to know what problems they are facing, right? I'm going to do market research. So I quickly came up with this survey that I'm going to share with a lot of pet owners. And it just talks about how much do you spend on each pet, and what problems you face as a pet owner, stuff like that, right? Pretty standard stuff. So I'm going to send it to a lot of people, and I'm expecting that I'll get around 1,000 responses from various people. Now I don't want to go through one by one response and go through it and identify if it's a high quality lead, or if it's a potential customer or not based on their spending and all. I don't want to do that. So I want AI to do that. Out of the 1,000, just give me the let's say 100 high quality leads, and I want AI to store everything automatically in this Google Sheet that I've created, which has these columns, name, email, problems faced, and I want the AI to fill this Google Sheet automatically, and it should only contain the high quality leads. So we are going to build this automation that does that using make.com without writing any single line of code. Let's see how it's done. Okay, so on the new scenario, we got this plus button, and here you have to first add the trigger. Now trigger is what starts the flow. So for us, it is going to be Google form. So I put the form, I'm going to select the form, and here there are various options. I'm going to choose this watch responses option. We want to watch response whenever a person fills the form. So now I already have made the connection, but for you have to sign in with Google, and it's pretty simple step, just accept the permissions itself. I already did that. So now it's asking for the form ID. So what is this form ID? Form ID is basically, this random string that they generate, and after the /d, and you just paste it over here. That's it. And here you have to set the limit. Let's say we just want to deal with one response at a time. So I'll just set the limit to 1. Okay. Simple. That's it. We are done. And where to start? Okay, from now on. Okay, let's say, okay, from now on I want to start watching the responses. Okay, so now we need to run the flow once and see what comes up, what data comes up. Okay, so for that I'm going to fill the form myself, as a potential client, and then I'm going to see how the scenario works. So I'll go ahead and quickly fill this survey for the pet owners that I created. Okay, so now I've filled the form, and I'm going to submit, and we're going to go back. We're going to run the scenario once. Okay, so as you can see over here, we should receive this, the what I just sent. Okay, so we should receive the exact response. See, these are all my responses. What's your name? See, these are all my responses, and we received it. So this thing worked, that it actually watched for the response. So now we are going to add another module. Now this one is an extremely powerful module. It's the OpenAI module. So till now we have only seen the ChatGPT, how ChatGPT works. So ChatGPT is different from OpenAI API. ChatGPT is a UI which lets you talk with the AI, but OpenAI API, using the OpenAI API, you can actually build automation. So it's a very, very powerful thing. I'm going to go ahead and select it. I'm going to select this create a completion. Now we'll look at the other things also, like there are images, there are audio, and different things are there. We are going to create a completion. Simple. We're going to go ahead and create a completion. I already have the connection, but for you will have to go ahead and put this API key. Now how do you get this API key? You have to go to the platform.openai.com/API-keys, and I'll send the link in the description. And if you have not signed up, you have to sign up and you have to create a new key. I already have created a new key, so I'm going to use it, but you can also create a new key if you have not already. And then you have to put the name and then create secret key, and it will create the key for you. Already did that, so I'm just going to use that. And once you put the key over here, you don't have to put organization ID. It's for people who work in multiple organizations. So you just need to put the API key and save, and then your connection will be ready. And in the model, you can choose the GPT-4o, which is, one thing to note over here is that even if you don't have ChatGPT Plus subscription, you can still use the GPT-4o using the API. So API and ChatGPT are two different products. Okay, so the way the API works is that you have to add messages, and each message has a role. So if it's your message, it's the user role, and if the AI is responding, the GPT is responding, it's the assistant role. So for us, it's going to be user role. Now I'm going to start with the prompt. So let me just write it down. Okay, so here is the prompt. Like it says, it's a very simple prompt based on the responses of this user. Figure out if it's a potential client or not a potential client. So here you will note that I'm asking ChatGPT to output exactly like this, like output potential client without quotes if he is a potential client, and if he is not, then output not a potential client. So the reason why I'm asking ChatGPT, the OpenAI API, to output exactly like this is because then we have to filter. If the output is this, then we do this. If the output is that, we do that. So for this filtering process to work, it is important to ask the API to output exactly like this, right? And I'm just talking about the criteria of who would be a potential customer and who would not be a potential customer. So, and then I'm giving the response that we received from the Google form. So here's the form response. It will have the age. I don't know if they need to know if the you don't need to know the age to determine if he is a potential client, potential customer or not, right? Okay, so now this is dynamic data that we received from the Google Forms. So here you have to put this. This is very crucial concept to know. So we cannot just hard code values like 27, because we have to dynamically take the data that we received from the Google Form. So when you click here, this frame shows up, and here you have to select what you have to go down here. You have to go to the text answers, and you have to select the value. And you see over here, this is showing 27 because then the last run that we did and the form that I filled, in which I entered my age, which is 27. Here, and when I clicked the value, it brought this thing, which is a very fancy way of getting the simple age. Okay, so here that you have to note is that it's an array. What is an array? It's a list. It contains multiple values. Although we have set the limit in the form as 1, so it will only get one value, still it is in a form of a list. So you have to mention, okay, I'm interested in the first value, so I'm going to go ahead and put 1 over here. Alright, so similarly we're going to do this with everything else. For example, I'm going to write here current spending per pet per month, and that's it. My prompt is done. So what will happen? What will happen with this? What OpenAI will receive is this based on this thing, and then in the age, and in place of this thing, this the value that we retrieved from the form will appear over here, and over here the value will appear, and this value will appear, and hopefully the OpenAI prompt will be valid. Okay, so next parameter is this max tokens. What is it? So what is a token? A token is, generally you can say 4 characters, like in general, like not always, but you can like get an idea. It's one token is 4 characters. So this max tokens specifies how many maximum tokens that the output can contain. So for us, the output can either be potential client or not a potential client. So these are like, max it will be like 10 tokens, right? Like not more than 10 tokens. So we can go ahead and write 10 over here, or I'll just for safety I'll write 20. So what it says to OpenAI API that the output that you are generating should not be more than 20 tokens. So why this is important is because let's say if the AI goes haywire and if you have a certain budget, right, like the API is charged on the output tokens and the input token, and you want it to be at a certain limit. That's why you specify the max tokens. But let's say if you don't care about the budget and you just want like the maximum, like whatever the response of OpenAI is, you just want that response, then you can put 0 over here. Now 0 does not mean 0 output tokens. It means that there is no limitation on the number of output tokens. So I hope you understand this maximum tokens, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this and see what the OpenAI module has generated. Let's see. Okay, so when I tried running it, when I did run once, it only ran this and it did not run this. I was confused as to why this thing does not run, and that is because, as you will see over here, it did not fetch any form response. Why? Because the form that I filled was already watched by this Google form module, and that was gone, and then I did not fill another form, so that's why this did not result in any response, and that's why this OpenAI module did not run. So I will have to fill the form once more. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now I have filled the form once more. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do run once. As you can see over here that it ran successfully, and this time the OpenAI API also ran. So there is a technique, to save the response in the module so that you don't have to keep filling the form again and again, and I will talk about that in a later video. For now, I'm going to go ahead and check out the OpenAI response. So first, so this is the input that the OpenAI received, and this is the output. Let's check out the input. So you have to input, like it's received in bundles in make.com. So in the bundle 1, since there is only one bundle, we'll check out the messages, and you remember we put the role as user, and the message is this. As you can see over here, it clearly put out the age and the spending and the problems and the amount and in the output. So how the API responses is it in the bundle, if you see this choices, you go to the choices and you see in the message the role is assistant because it's the assistant replying, and the content, it's potential client. So it correctly identified this as a potential client. Why? Because whatever we said, okay, the spending should be at least 2,500, everything fulfilled, and it identified as a potential client. And we'll see one form response where we will put like less values, and we'll see if it actually categorizes it as not a potential client. So for now, we'll go ahead and build the last step, which is going to be Google Sheets. So I'm going to select, and I'm going to, in the Google Sheet, add a row option, and here I'm going to go ahead and build my, since I already have the connection, so there are some more permissions that I need to accept, and then I'm going to continue. Pretty standard process, and this is asking for an additional permission to edit those spreadsheets. I'm going to allow, and now it made the Google connection. So now I'm going to choose the file by the name. It's called High Quality Leads. I selected the file, and now you will see once I select the sheet, it will automatically fill out the headers for me. And now you see like this name, email, age, and these are all the headers that we have defined in our Google Sheets. I'm going to go ahead and fill it. So the name is, we're going to take the name as what we take in the Google Forms, in the answers, and the value. It's the same process what we did for the OpenAI. I'm going to go ahead and quickly fill all these values. Okay, so as you can see over here, I filled out all the values, all the 5 columns. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and we'll see if it works. Now I'm going to, before I run the scenario once more, I'm going to quickly go ahead and fill the form once again. Okay, so now I've filled the form. I'm going to go ahead and run. Okay, so as you can see over here that the Google Sheets is run, and we'll see if it actually filled out the, and you can see over here it actually filled out these values that I had put in the form. So there is one step that is left over here. We have to create a, so now we are running this sheet regardless of whether the OpenAI API put potential client or not a potential client. Like, we are not checking whether what the response of OpenAI API is. So obviously we can't do that. We don't want all the entries to the Google Sheet. We're going to set up a filter to filter out all the values which has potential client as the output in the OpenAI. So you see this wrench over here. I'm going to go ahead, click it, and set up a filter. And you can say it like, potential client filter. The condition here we will put, okay, as you can saw that choices, message, and not interested in the role, which is the assistant. We are interested in the content, and obviously we want it as the first value, and we want the content to be equal to potential client. So that's why here you see it has to match exactly equal to this value. That's why we want the OpenAI API to output exact values instead of a sentence. So I press OK, and our filter is set. So now when the new responses comes, we're going to, the Google form will get a response. It will send to the OpenAI to check if it's a potential client or not, and if it is, it will use the Google Sheet module to upload, add a row in the Google Sheet, and if it is not, then it will not do anything to the Google Sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and fill 2 forms, one which has, which is qualified to be a potential client, and one which is not qualified to be a potential client, and we'll see if the scenario works out. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so I filled out both the forms, and now we are at our scenario. So now what we can do 2 things now. We can use this nice little scheduling button. What it will do is that it will make our scenario run every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes it will check if there is a form response or not. But we are not going to do that because I don't want to wait for 15 minutes for the scenario to run. I'm going to go ahead and click this run once button, which will run the scenario right now. So let me go ahead and do that. As you can see over here, the form ran the OpenAI module ran, but the Google Sheet did not run because the filter did not filter it out. So probably the OpenAI API outputted it as not a potential client. So let's see. So let's see the input first. The input in the bundle 1, we're going to see the input, and the content we can see the current spending is 500 to 1000, which is less than 2500, and the amount willing to spend is not applicable because they don't face any problem. So the output we can see it will be not a potential client, exactly how we want it. So clearly it did not cross the filter and it did not update the sheet, as we can see over here. Now we're going to go ahead and run it again, because of the second form that I filled, it is supposed to be a potential client, and as you can see it ran successfully, and we will see that the sheet is updated. So next thing that we can do is click on the scheduling button, so as and when the forms are filled, with the automation will keep running, and you don't have to do anything. You'll just get the high quality leads in your Google Sheets. So I hope this video was helpful for you. It was extremely quite a lot of fun for me. This tool, I love this tool because it lets you build the processes, the automation so intuitively, and there is a lot that you can do with it. You can like automate your, you can get your emails, and you take the important emails and you send a WhatsApp message to you, or you take your calendar events and send you a Slack message, or a Telegram, or a WhatsApp bot, or any kind of thing, or Instagram, or you can automate replying to your Instagram DMs, or you can like make a automation that automatically replies on your YouTube channel. And you have this powerful OpenAI APIs and also the other large language model API. Sky is the limit. And I hope you liked the video. If you did, then please subscribe, as it helps a lot, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.